As Monty Python might say, and now for something completely different. Well, maybe not totally different. We have the Buffet Crampon Prodige pocket clarinet. Don't think it would quite fit into a pocket, but right idea anyway. So this is meant to be a starter clarinet for probably somebody young who you want to teach the basic mechanics of playing clarinet. Notice that it actually will receive a standard B-flat clarinet mouthpiece. It is completely keyless. We just have the thumb rest here so that a young player can get used to being able to hold it in position there. It only comes in two parts for getting the mouthpiece. It's the main body and then the bell. I guess we can call it a bell. It is a complete cylinder. You can see there's no actual flare in the bell, so it's a cylinder straight through. In terms of size, I guess in the spirit of talking about pockets, so here is a B-flat clarinet. See, it's quite a bit smaller than that. And interestingly, as compared to an E-flat clarinet, also smaller. So talking about being keyless, this instrument plays a diatonic scale only. It will go from what we would think of as long F to actually open G. Buffet provides a handy little fingering card here that shows you the fingerings that are available there. My initial temptation when I started playing around with this was to think, well, being keyless, but drilled in a very similar way to a recorder, that you would be able to get some of those half-step fingerings out of it as well. You really can't. I've tried messing around with it. I'll leave it to some of the guys who have invented a lot of advanced techniques to be able to figure out if there are fake fingerings that can be derived out of this. But the closest I've been able to get, if I was looking for something like an E-flat on this, is to half hole it. And even then, it's a total guess. It's not something that's going to be available technique-wise for a starting player. So this really is bare bones basic for a young player to start. So they can learn how it feels to hold an instrument. They can learn how it feels to start to learn the basic fingerings of a scale. You can teach them about reeds and reed placement, airflow, articulation. All of that is available. It's just a much more limited scale, and therefore, limited repertoire of music you can put in front of them. But good way to step in from this to this. So the basic scale, it's this. So you get an octave plus one. Acoustically, it's a clarinet. It's a cylindrical bore. You've got the unique overtone profile of a clarinet. If you were to overblow, which it's not keyed to do, you would get the 12th, not the octave. So that's there too. That's not on the fingering card here. It's not part of its native design, and that would certainly be a big ask for a kid who is starting out, although my guess is, based on some of the horrors we've all experienced listening to kids playing their first notes on a clarinet, they'll actually probably find those overblown notes kind of naturally and unpleasantly. But they are there. So for somebody who wants to have a little bit of fun with this thing, there are more notes than are on the finger card. Because we're missing the additional tone holes and key work, there is a gap. So you go from completely open to completely closed, and the jump is a perfect fourth. There's nothing in between there. So getting more into what it actually is here, you've got the got the body of the instrument, which is a single piece of it. It is grenadilla wood, so it's not plastic. It's not some kind of hard rubber. It's not any other kind of synthetic. It is wood. So somebody who decides to play one of these is going to get that facet of it. In terms of the size of the bore, you can see, maybe you can't see, it's kind of small as compared to a B-flat clarinet, but it still receives the same size mouthpiece. So kudos to Buffet's acousticians for making that work and still being able to make this pocket instrument that has a reasonably accurate scale. You can see how the tone holes are drilled here for the fingers, and they're even there's even a bit of a bevel there so that your fingers can find purchase on the instrument. I think that will be good for helping kids to find their finger position. I don't think this instrument solves all the problems for the real littles who still have small, slender fingers. These aren't the tiniest tone holes ever, so there is still going to be a need for the young player to be big enough to be able to get complete closure on those tone holes to be able to get the full scale to speak. The pocket clarinet comes in a very tidy little package. It's delivered in a very small box. The instrument comes in this little pouch here, so there's space for the body of the instrument, the bell of the instrument. There's a pocket for a mouthpiece. It even comes with a swab and some cork grease, and it does zip up nice and small. I suppose in a pocket you could stuff it in a pocket, but you get the idea. All right, so closing details on the Buffet Prodige pocket clarinet. So as I was saying, good introduction to clarinet for young players who are just getting their first exposure to this. Definitely, technique-wise, a step beyond a basic recorder. It receives a standard B-flat clarinet mouthpiece, which the instrument does come with. So it's a good way to get them to start, training the structure of a good embouchure, to learn how to deal with a single reed, adjust a ligature, to work on airflow. That's all there for you. The scale is simple. Again, it's without getting into the extended stuff. It is diatonic plus plus one extra note, totally open. So, the basic repertoire you're going to find in starter books, you ought to be able to cover there. This would also be interesting for much more advanced students to pick up. Put down the fully keyed standard B-flat or A clarinet and get back to the absolute bare bone basics. You put the mouthpiece that you're always playing on with the reed you're always playing on this thing, and just get back to some real fundamental things like working on air and articulation. And what I actually think is the most interesting, using this as a training device for more advanced players, would be to really dig into playing those overtone jumps, going from the fundamental to the 12th. That's something that we do work on, but take away all of the ability to cheat here. No register key, no polycylindrical bore, none of that. It's just a straight through cylindrical bore with your standard mouthpiece. So it's got to all be with your air and your embouchure to be able to play those jumps, which is going to translate back really well to your core instrument. So yeah, the Prodige pocket clarinet. I think this is a great way to get introduced to the instrument without the frustrations of those clarinet-shaped objects that you can buy off of Amazon for probably roughly the same money, but trying to do too much with too little there. Aside from them being terrible instruments, there's all kinds of frustrations because they're so poorly made. So you have a lot getting in the way of a young player being able to truly learn how to successfully play the instrument. So this idea of taking something stripped down, there's no mechanicals on here, so there's nothing to be misadjusted. You don't have to worry about pad seals and key heights and springs and sticky screws and everything else. Just take all of that away and focus on just the core technique things that a young player needs to be able to transition. And then you can bring them right into a standard clarinet. Pocket Prodige.